Hello, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and in this video for the new Boston I'm going to be talking about post data. Now, we've already looked at get data and forms and then form security, but we've been currently displaying all of our data, the variable names and the variable data in our URL. So our structure has been index.php, and then we've had things like date equals Monday, date equals Monday, and then blah blah blah, so on. So what happens if we are submitting something like a long registration form, or let's just say a user has to go on a page and submit a long sort of selection of text in a text field, so they were typing out, say, a long description of themselves. For this purpose, it's not a good idea in any means to use get, but what we do is we use something called post, and this uses a different method. It uses the HTTP post method, and this processes the data, it sends the data directly to the form and doesn't include it in the URL itself. So it's great for things like passwords, it's great for things like long registration forms. As well, it's good to note that get actually does have, if you were to use variables like this, a lot of browsers and web servers have limits on how much get data can be processed at once. And as well, when you're using things like file uploads, you need to be processing the file data through a form into a page, and you use post as well as another attribute to the form field, which is called enctype, but we're not going to be going into that until we deal with form field uploads. So we're going to take a look at an example, and this example is going to be typing in a password, and in this case we're going to be submitting the password. We're going to be creating a form first of all down here. We're going to be submitting a password and checking it, and we're going to be telling the user is the password correct. So we're going to start off by setting up our form, and we have the form action and the method as usual. And remember, the form action, we can either go to another PHP page or we can stay on the same one. In this case I'm staying on exactly the same one, so we're submitting all the data inside this form to index.php. The method though, instead of get, is going to be post, and this automatically means that the data is not going to be sent, well, it's going to be sent as post, it's not going to be sent as get. So let's say password, and we break down and we have an input type. Now this time we're not going to choose text, because what would happen would be is we would be able to see anything we typed in here. However, we are going to choose the type password, and this means that the browser interprets this as a password field and you can no longer see anything in there. So that's interesting if you didn't already know how to do that. The name of this is going to be password. Okay, and we're going to break down a couple more times, and we're going to be an input type submit value equals submit, just as we did in the last example. So as this stands, we're submitting a password in this form when we click submit. So as to the previous example with get, I typed something in here, clicked submit, and we saw it appear here. However, now if I was to type, say, password in here and click submit, we've actually submitted this now to the form. The data has been submitted. However, it's not visible up here, and obviously at the moment not visible on the page because we haven't done anything with the data. Now, just to show you the example, I'm going to echo out $_ and this time post and password. Remember, this name here corresponds to the name that you've given the form field. So let's refresh the page, type in hidden, for example, and click submit. You can see that hidden is now displayed, okay, but still not displayed up here. So what can we do with this? We can again check that the form has been submitted. So we say if is set, and we say $_ post, this time password. We execute in this block here. So if we've submitted and the password has been sent, or the form field data has been sent, we now need to grab that. So I'm going to say password equals $_post password. Now, as discussed in the security video relating to forms, we could do the HTML entities just here. However, we're not actually displaying this password back out to the user. We're just going to process it down here and check that it's equal to a preset password. So the password I'm going to say is pass123. Okay, so the password must be equal to pass123 for us to validate it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if password corresponding to this variable, which then corresponds to this here, because we're taking the post data, which then corresponds to what the user's typed in. So if the password is equal to match, say something, otherwise say something else. And what we're going to say in here is echo that is correct, and otherwise we're going to say that is incorrect. Okay, so let's test this out. We'll go back to the index.php page. We'll click submit. It says that is incorrect. We haven't actually checked for the existence yet, but we can do that. We could say here if is not empty password, do all of this down to here. Ooh, and then we can indent this. So this reads as if it's set a new variable called password to the posted password. If it's not empty, do all of this, and then otherwise, I mean, can you see in my text editor where when I click to the end of this curly bracket here, that highlights in red, this also highlights in red. So I can see that this starts here and ends here, therefore I can do else please enter a password. Okay, so let's go back onto our page. Now I'm going to submit it without entering anything, and it says please enter a password. Now I'm going to enter a password, just absolutely anything, into the form and click submit. That is incorrect. Now if I was to type pass123 and I was to click submit, we've validated that as correct. Therefore we're displayed with the message that is correct. So we've posted a password through this form. We've used the post method with the HTTP post method, which doesn't display it here, and has allowed us to process it in secret. Now I'm not going to show you an example, but if you were processing, say, a long amount of data, you'd also use the post, as well as file uploads like I discussed earlier, but that will be later on in the series. So this is basically posting variables in PHP.